truly believe in the magic.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Penny Few Thoughts, the podcast of the Orlando Magic. As always, I'm joined by Mikey. How you doing, pal? Oh, this is outrageous. You see, I knew this was going to happen.
Here we go.
I knew this was going to be happening. For those of you who don't remember, I'm a Leeds fan. Last night, Leeds had to visit a certain place called Liverpool, where we played the Merseyside franchise Reds, the Super League team. And got a bit of a battering, I think is fair to say. 6-0. And I on the face of it, we were perhaps lucky to get nil.
Well, I mean, they took it like champs, though, Leeds. They just let it happen and they said, yeah, we're going to get beat. And they got beat properly. So fair enough to Leeds for losing like real winners.
And I'll just say, the Unbearables are back in the title race.
Oh, mate, I can't believe you've done that to me. Outrageous. Outrageous. So anyway, good night. Thanks for watching. I knew this was going to be bad when they've got 2 Liverpool fans again in this one. Mate, not good. How you doing, Mikey? You all right?
Yes, mate. Thank you. Even better tonight.
Last night, obviously.
Knowing that you were going to be on tonight. In fact, you're lucky because Gary's joined us tonight as well. Otherwise, you would have been just joined with Ian Conall, just ripping you all night.
Let's be fair. After last night, Leeds being 2-1 against Liverpool is a damn sight closer than we actually got. So I'd been good with that. As you mentioned, Conall's with us. Conall, how you doing, mate?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm adapting to the new lifestyle of full-time work, but I'm getting on with it well. And yeah, happy to be here. Thank you very much, Paul. As you say, happy that Liverpool are winning and looking forward to winning another trophy on Sunday. So all is well in life. All is well.
Good man. And Gary, welcome back, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, mate, but I'll just not even mention football because, trust me, as bad as it is for Leeds,
I wasn't going to.
It's worse at the Muppet Show, trust me.
You boys are going through it, aren't you? You boys are going through it.
I'll not go too much into it, but if there's a team there in 10 years' time, I'd be surprised.
Right, I know that if Garant has been joining us, he wouldn't have been any happier because Cardiff aren't having a good time of it either, but there we go. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about, is it? We are here to talk Orlando Magic. So before we go any further, let's get it out of the way. Affiliate plug. Support today's episode and visit the official NBA store EU or Fanatics using our affiliate link in the descriptions on the podcast or off the website. Shop the latest NBA gear and Orlando Magic merchandise, including jerseys, shorts and T-shirts. Also available for international delivery. Use the discount code MagicUK10 at the checkout. I still can't believe you wore that, man. That's outrageous. That'll get you 10% off your entire order, although there are certain restrictions that may be applicable to that. You can also find the links at orlandomagicuk.com. So let's move on. That's that bit out of the way.
What a struggle to dress myself again. Go on.
Getting dressed. It's the first time you actually got dressed on a podcast. There we go, man. On to the Magic news. It's been a fairly quiet week, obviously, with it being All-Star weekend and week. We've heard rumours that T. Ross has said in an interview that Markelle is returning this week. We'll get to that later on in the episode. No change hugely on the injury front. No update publicly on Markelle, J.I., Mo Wagner or Bol Bol, although we do know he will be out for likely the whole season. I think we may know more once this podcast has actually gone out. 10:30 tonight, I think the Magic post their next injury report following today's full contact practice. So we'll see what happens there. Good news on RJ. He's been full participant in practice yesterday, so we could see his return fairly soon, fingers crossed. So, guys, let's talk about All-Star. How did you enjoy it? Friday night, we saw Franz, Jalen and Cole all part of the Rising Star game. Mikey, what did you see from them?
I thought it was obviously that they had a new format this year, playing the 50 in the first 2 games and then 25 in the final. I really enjoyed them, actually. I woke up really early in the middle of the night and ended up just going, I'm just going to get up. So I sat and watched them at like 5 o'clock in the morning. First game, Jalen and Cole obviously put a bit of a show on towards the end of that game. They had the big play where Jalen threw the ball off the backboard for Cole to throw one down. Jalen had the chance to win the game with a couple of free throws and missed the second one. And they unfortunately ended up losing that game. But I think they were down early in the game and got themselves back into it and had a chance to win it right at the end. But Cole had his struggles. I think he only went 1 for 4 from the field off the top of my head, something like that. But Jalen was probably the best player that night, or certainly for that game. I think he had, was it 16 points, something like that? Yeah. Efficient from the floor as well. So he certainly put on a show. Franz didn't really get much of an opportunity in his first game. I think he only took 1 or 2 shots in that and felt like a bit part player, but he obviously in the final decided that he was going to go knock down the winning free throw to win the competition for them. So that was good. So we certainly had them. They did their part. They did their part to represent the Magic, and they did that really well. And obviously, and hopefully they'll keep this similar format going into next year as well, because I think it really worked.
Yeah. Conall, what were your takeaways from Friday night? Anything that you particularly liked, or anything that you felt the Magic guys could have done better?
Well, I agree with Mikey. I like the format, the way that you kind of get to see them compete against each other differently, whereas where it would normally just be one game, you kind of get to see more different matchups, which I enjoyed. In terms of the Magic guys, watching Franz felt a little bit like watching Vooch when he used to play in the All-Star games for me, where I'm not sure it's his type of event as much as it's more about who's the flashiest player and who's going to throw it off the backboard and stuff. Whereas these guys are really good basketball players, but they get the job done, and with minimum fuss, that's not really what they do. So in terms of how compatible that is for All-Star Weekend, it felt like when we used to watch Vooch a couple of seasons ago. Whereas the complete opposite can be said for Cole Anthony. I know we'll get to the dunk contest in a bit, but you saw it with him. He was just there to have fun all weekend. And even though he didn't have his greatest game in his Rising Stars game, I think he only shot 33%. Like Mikey's already said, with that last lob off the backboard from Jalen to Cole, it kind of showed that those two guys do embody the kind of all-star atmosphere and kind of culture that there is, which is nice to have. I mean, there's no kind of complaints because we have good basketball players. It doesn't matter really at the end of the day who's going to embody the all-star culture as much. But it was nice to see those two especially having fun, and a shame to see Franz given limited opportunities on his team. I felt like, I know Gary, you agreed with that in the article that you and Mikey have just said. Then it felt like Cade was kind of afraid, not afraid, but just kind of tentative to give the ball to Franz, which was annoying because I would have obviously liked to watch him play more, especially just with a different group of players. Just, it's kind of fresh to see a bit of a change. But overall, I enjoyed it. I mean, I love watching those guys play all the time. So even though, I mean, Franz managed to win it as well. So no complaints really from me.
Gary, was there anybody across the weekend? Not across the weekend. Across that Rising Stars game that you felt failed to deliver, or that their stock went down a bit? Not necessarily from the Magic.
I don't know about stock going down and such. I think from a Magic angle, I think Jalen Suggs did himself a world of good, because I think, I put on that article on the website as well. I think Suggs has had a bit of unfair press this season at times, and I think he's actually grown into the season, especially since he came back from the injury. So I think Suggs did a lot for his status. Jumping on the back of what Conall said as well, I think that the way Wagner plays basketball is he plays winning basketball, which sounds weird coming from a Magic fan right now. But I think if Franz Wagner had to score 3 to 5 points and up for Orlando to win the games, Franz Wagner would take 3 to 5 points. And I think he'll still do his deflections. He'll still pass the ball. In terms of players who maybe didn't stand out, I just don't think we saw fully, like LaMelo Ball, like running the game. Like that game should really be set for him, but I think he had one eye on the later on the weekend for the main event. So I don't really think you were going to really ever get the full shown from someone like LaMelo. But I think there was a spotlight put on Orlando. People were talking about the synergy between Cole and Suggs. They had the big plays, and everyone seemed to get a laugh out of Cole pulling his shorts down at the free throw line. which was just typical Cole Anthony. So if nothing else, we're known for Moonies at the free throw line. And there's your title of the podcast.
Moonies at the free throw line. New title, like it, mate, like it. I've got to be honest, I know he won the MVP for the Rising Stars, but I actually was a little disappointed at Cade Cunningham. I really felt that he was only looking for one or two players. He didn't seem to distribute the ball well amongst his team. You consider that how well Franz is shooting, how he rates scoring amongst rookies. He was virtually overlooked constantly. He scored 3 points in both games, and obviously one of those came from the free throw line at the end of the.
Was there a little hidden agenda in there somewhere?
Oh yeah, I do think there could well have been that he didn't want somebody else who is a rival to shine. Anybody you felt bad for, particularly in that skills challenge, in the Chlorate skill challenge on the Friday night? Thinking of Tyrese Maxey and a certain guy out of the Raptors. Yeah, God, how many times did they miss that free throw?
Wasn't even a free throw. It was closer.
No, it was closer. Terrible.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I know, because I mean, people were saying, "Oh, like between them two, they missed 6." I mean, he missed 5 of them himself. I'm pretty sure. So don't even put the credit on the other guy.
Honestly,
we didn't just get a laugh. If you can see in the video, the bench in the background, they're having a brilliant time trying to watch 2 professional basketball players put the ball in from about a few inches under the net. So yeah, it was good fun for everyone, I think.
I don't suppose we can ignore it any longer than Saturday and Cole and the dunk contest. For me, too many resets killed the atmosphere of that event itself. So, Gary, what were your thoughts on the actual event of the dunk contest? Dunk contest.
There we are. I think it's been spoiled, man. I think us as fans, when we look at what Aaron Gordon's given us over the years in the dunk contest, what Zach LaVine's done and such, I think we're at a point where there isn't really much as a person, like a human being can do, that can top what we've seen. Like, for me, the craziest dunk in the dunk contest ever was AG jumping over stuff and putting the ball between his legs and dunking it. I don't see how anyone ever tops that unless they start putting in something in the shoes that becomes like in future years, like space hoppers or something, because that to me is like the limit of natural what your body can do. With that said, it was a disappointing dunk contest. It did lack having a star name. I think someone like a Ja Morant, I know there's been a lot of calls for he should have been in it. I think having eyes on the dunk contest of a Ja Morant, I don't think Cole did himself any favours with the first dunk where he put the Timberlands on. And I've ran around in Timberlands before, and I wonder if he's just kind of fatigued himself a little bit early, possibly making excuses for him. But
I think he's made that dunk though. I think he's done that before. I don't think he would have rocked up and did that had he not practiced it.
He did get it. Yeah, it was on the second or third effort. But I think that for me, it was. He came out, as I wrote in the article on the website, he came out on court and the excitement was palpable. People were excited to see him come on, and he is a showman. He came on dancing, he bringing his dad out, all that sort of thing. What killed him for him was the length of time that putting those shoes on. He wasn't worse for resets by any stretch of the imagination. He didn't have, and that's what I'm going to ask next is, do we think that there's something needs reformatting on how the dunk contest is run? Conall, any thoughts?
I think there is, because it's kind of a consensus among NBA fans, not just us, that what killed the dunk contest this year was the restarts. I've not seen anybody on Twitter or in any group chats that I'm in or my friends that I've spoken to who think that this was a good dunk contest. People are generally disappointed in it. And that's because more time was spent by... I read the stat, but I can't remember what it was now. There was, a lot more time spent on restarts than dunks themselves. Like 4 or 5 times the amount of time spent on restarts than dunks themselves. And it's a dunk contest, not a restart contest. So that's not what we want to do. We don't want to watch people miss. We want to watch people score. And that's easy for me to say, sat here at 5'9" in my bedroom and I can't touch the rim. But that's what we're expecting to see. The issue is, I don't know really, and I've admittedly not looked into it, what can be done to try and kind of fix that. Because, you said about getting some of the stars into the dunk contest maybe, but I feel like it's over the past few years been something that they've kind of shunned away a little bit. And, you've had a few people come out and say, no, the dunk contest isn't something that I do. I'm pretty sure Anthony Edwards has said that. Mm-hmm. Aaron Gordon said it after his last one when he was robbed by Dwayne Wade. And these are people who, are names that you'd be excited to come and watch in a dunk contest. Yep. Whereas, although it's interesting players, Obi Toppin, great dunker, Cole Anthony, really exciting guy, but there wasn't a star there to kind of attract it. But I don't know what can be changed in terms of the rules, but I do agree that something needs to be different because they can't continue with how it was this year, every year. Otherwise, complete interest is just going to be lost in the event.
Yeah. Was it, I can't remember, was it kept resetting? Reset about 7 or 8
Toscano Anderson, wasn't it? I think was. Yeah.
Was it? I think it was him. I thought, was it Green? Was Jalen Green in it?
Jalen Green did about 6,
Yeah. And that was the one where, because they kept saying, oh, it's not part of the dunk. He's not got control of the ball or he's not got down motion. I think once you start it, once you make a motion, that should be one of your 3. And if you don't get it right. So is it then perhaps makes the dunks back to, instead of it being, let's bring a prop in, let's bring this in, let's try 47 spins and then dunk it, it's back to more of an actual dunking skill. You look back at some of those that people still marvel at, that, your Vince Carter stuff and whatever. Would they have been attempted in this year's dunk contest because people are trying to push it beyond what's ever happened before? I don't know.
I think that kind of goes with what Gary said. There are certain, finite human capabilities that can't be breached, where people are having to come up with new ideas. Because if somebody does do the Vince Carter dunk, for example, the first thing everyone's going to say is, oh, Vince Carter already did that. People want to see new dunks, but that's, I guess, why Cole put on the Timberlands and stuff. But it can be argued that the best dunks have already been done. Can we get a better dunk than, the Aaron Gordon one, the Vince Carter one, dunking from the free throw line? Those are really impressive, feats of athletic capabilities, but people are just trying to make it different so that they're not accused of copying. And that's kind of the annoying, cycle that they're going to get caught in when trying to come up with a dunk. Do I want to be new, or do I want to actually show, impressive athletic ability? It's kind of trying to find a balance between that.
I'd quite like to see a retro round where you do go back and pick somebody's, let the judges select 5 different dunks and put them out to before the competition. Say you can do one of these 5 dunks in a round. I think that'd be interesting to see. Mm-hmm. Something of that nature.
I thought you were going to say, let's bring back Dominique and Vince at in their 40s and 50s.
Didn't Mo Moonsey say, so I could be wrong with the source, but wasn't there an idea where they were saying put a shot blocker on the floor and say,
yes, I have seen that.
Do your dunk, but it's got to be actually against the defender.
I think that'd be interesting as well. I do think that'd be interesting. I also think that had Cole nailed either one of those 2 dunks early, we'd have been having a very different conversation about Cole. Because one thing that you've got to give the guy is he went for it all in on both those dunks. He was probably the most inventive out of all 4 players that were there. And had his dunks been successful, it would have been the most spectacular of any of the rounds, I think.
I think what they need to do is flip the dunk contest with the 3-point contest and stick that last, because that seems to get more excitement. I would actually shorten the dunk contest and just say, right, first round, 1 dunk, mate, and just let them have 1 attempt, not have 3 run-ups, 1 attempt. You either nail it or you don't. That'd be even worse if nobody made it on the first attempt. But Shaq always said this when AG and and Zach Levine and Jones Jr. were going up against one another. The only reason Shaq gave him a 10 was because he made the dunk first time, because it had that impact. Whereas when you take up a second and a third and a fourth attempt, it doesn't have the same feel. The energy goes out of the building. Whereas if you've got the pressure, you have to make the dunk on the first attempt. I don't know. It's a bit of a higher risk.
By the dunks and you get a better competition.
But I feel like they're trying to create too many variations of dunks instead of just coming up with 2 or 3 decent ones. And that might make it a better spectacle, I don't know.
I suppose the positive to come from Cole's appearance is that he did show ambition. He did show he wasn't afraid to go all in. He didn't waver for the safe option. He showed a willingness to go out and try to win, even if it meant failing. And, that's got to be good for us in the long term, if he's willing to do that in a game situation as well.
I bet we would have got Suggs or Wagner involved in later dunks if he got through.
Yeah, right. The daft thing is, had he done that one out of the Rising Stars game, I think, Jalen off the backboard to him, I think we'd have probably been talking about him going into the final anyway.
Yeah. I think what went up in the final in other years, like if you put it against like last year's dunk contest, etc., or the last dunk contest where Aaron Gordon got done out by Dwayne Wade, I don't think they'd have got there. I don't think they'd have even featured. It wouldn't have been a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, okay. The remainder of the season. We have, 22 games left, 15 at home. And so I'm going to ask you what you want to see between now and the end of the season. So, Gary, let's come to you first, mate. What would you want to see between now and the end of the season? What's success for you?
I would have liked to have said that I would see Jonathan Isaac and Markelle Fultz by this point. I think we're going to see Markelle. I'm not 100% sure we're going to see Jonathan Isaac this season. Now, what I would like to see is I do think we'll see a few more wins. I think we'll win more games in the second half of the season than we did in the first. I want to see anybody who we've got doubts on of whether, for example, Mo Bamba, give him the minutes. Because he's here for the season now. So it's a case of, right, you're here until the summer. Let's see what you've got. Because as it stands right now, we're not getting in the play-in tournament. So if we've got doubts over Mo Bamba, if we've got doubts of anybody else on here, give them the minutes. And then at the end of the season, if we say, see you later, Mo, at least we know that we gave him a fair shake in Orlando to really do it. And we're not getting one of those what-if situations, or they're going to pop up in Cleveland where they've just signed and all of a sudden become a 15-10 player on a championship team. So give Mo Bamba his minutes, give Wendell his minutes as well, because if we land in the top 3 of the draft lottery, we're probably taking a big. And I think we've got to be thinking, if it's me right now, where do they fit with Wendell?
Yep.
He's earned the spot. Who fits best with him? So let's get a real extended look at him. Where do you want to play Wendell? How do you want to play? And let's cater to him, because he's been sensational recently.
He has. I wouldn't argue with that, mate.
Yeah.
So, Conall, what about for you?
Well, same thing. I think Jonathan Isaac's probably just a figment of our imagination at this point. I'm not sure we'll ever see him again. Markelle, though,
really?
I'm confident we will see, and that's something that I'd really like to be experimented with throughout the rest of the season. So I think he probably will be taking over one of the starting 5 positions when he comes back. So trying to play him with Jalen and trying to play him alongside Cole to see who kind of fits better in that backcourt pairing would be something that I'd be really interested in seeing. I also agree with the Mo Bamba situation, where he's kind of become a bit of an experiment for us now. Wendell has solidified that starting position. When we get J.I. back and Franz back, that probably doesn't leave room for Mo, even if he does prove something to the end of the year. So if we give him a chance to show us what he can do, it'll kind of give us a better informed decision on what we should do with him going forward. Because I would hate to have regrets and think, if say he does go sign with a Cleveland or literally anybody else, and then he turns out to be, a 15-10 guy, just a a really, really solid player. If we were thinking, if we'd have just given him a few more minutes towards the end of the season, if we'd have given him a chance to show what he could do, because we know what Wendell can do. So not that we need to take minutes away from him, but we can't forget Mo. Now that we've decided on Wendell, we can't forget Mo. We need to keep him relevant in the team, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to decide what the best thing is going forward with him. But yeah, just minutes to the youth as much as possible. RJ, when he comes back as well, I really want to see him play. Get Schumer back to the form that we kind of saw him in last season, and he kind of started moving towards after I felt like a bit of a poor start to this season. Just give those guys the time, because like you say, we aren't going to make the playoffs. We probably aren't going to make the play-in tournament. So we need to focus on development of the young players foremost for me. So yes, those are the things that I would do.
So Mikey, similar for you. So if it is, where do you see wins by the end of the season?
Well, looking at the schedule, you could argue the last 22 games, half of those are winnable.
They are, yeah.
And the fact we're playing at home for a large percentage of them,
15 after the 22,
then that certainly puts the odds of us winning more games in our favour. But I hate tanking, but we're going to have to bring it up at some point. With 22 games left, you're sat there with the worst record at the moment. We've played 2 more games than the Detroit Pistons. So if they lose both of those games that they've technically got in hand over us, then we're tied with Detroit. At the moment, we can't fall any further than 5th in the draft. And then obviously if you swap places with Detroit, it's then 6th. If it's Houston, it's 7th. I know the odds are a lot less, but we saw last year, we finished with the 3rd worst record.
Yep.
And we were the team that got bounced out and dropped down in the lottery. So I want to see more of what we've been doing. I still want to see us compete. I want to see the young players get as many minutes as possible. I still expect players like Terrence Ross and Gary Harris to play their role, but I would like to see in games where we're maybe playing Detroit's and teams like that, their minutes get pulled back and you just stick the young players out there. Because let's be honest, like we've got Detroit coming up, we've got Indiana coming up, we've got Houston coming up this week. None of those teams want to win. If we're being brutally honest, they don't want to win. So you stick the young players out and you just let it play out as it is. But yeah, I don't know. There's no sure thing in the draft. It's all a bit of a crapshoot. We know that. People are saying there's not any players in this draft that are maybe franchise changing players. You don't know that until 4, 5, 6 years time. But yeah, it's difficult. This is the time of the year. If you're going to tank, you tank. We've just been bad up to this point because of injuries and players missing and COVID and just being young. So we've come this far. Let's get the job done.
So we're all happy with seeing. Well, that's the wrong phrase to say. We're all understanding of the losses. If it continues through the season to the end, we can live with that. Do we want to see actively seeking losses, or would you be happier to see us playing to win? And if those wins hurt the lottery odds, so be it. Any thoughts?
It is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So somebody's got to win games and somebody's got to lose them. So
yeah,
it is what it is. I think we're going to do things to lose games. That's just, I don't know.
It's a tough one because as like us as fans obviously love, like the reason we support our team is because we like seeing them win basketball games. But then for the good of the franchise, is it better to lose? It's a hard one because you kind of have to swallow your pride and say, if we lost 22 games and we had the number 1 pick, I'm sure we'd probably all take that now. But it's painful to sit through losing 22 games. Like I remember a week or 2 before the All-Star break when we were on a really bad run, I was starting to lose the enthusiasm because I was coming on here and I was talking and I was always like, yeah, we've got this young core, we're going to do great, we're going to pick up some games. We went on a massive losing streak and it just hurt. So if we could maybe lose 10, win 1, and then just finish off with a nice losing run of 12 and get the number 1 pick. That'll be fine.
I'm going to have to give it out. I'm not believing that you want a losing run of 12. God, no, I refuse to believe it, especially as you're at the last 2 games, aren't you, of the season?
Oh, yeah, we'll win the last 2. We'll lose the first 20, whatever it is, and then me and Gary will come. We'll cheer him on to win the last 2.
We'll beat Miami on the last game. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you bet we will.
Because you guys are there for that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Gary, are you looking forward to that one, mate?
Absolutely. It's first trip to the Amway. I'm hopefully running to Conall before the game. Got a few people I want to see in Orlando. And yeah, if we're going to win a game, we'll beat the Heat. Why not?
Why not? Beat the Heat. It's always a good one.
End of the season on a high. I think we could win 8 games between now and the end of the season. I just think we get Markelle back. I also think we could see teams resting players when they get into playoffs. Like we're playing Miami. You would think Miami's going to be a top 4 seed. They've got some old players. They might just look at it and say it's not going to change our position. For example, on the last game of the season, whether we win or lose against Orlando, they might throw their guys out there, the young players, and say just get a few more minutes under your belt. And I think we could see a bit of that happening. But at the same point in time, we've lost most of the season. I don't believe in tanking. Like, I just don't believe in it. I know people will go, oh, well, look what it did for us last season. Well, technically, by losing those games, we dropped. We should have been looking at that and going, Evan Mobley's in Orlando. If you want to be really technical about it, that could have been Evan Mobley and Franz Wagner. Not that I'm disappointed with Suggs, but tanking I don't think it does work, but we've lost this many games. It's like, you know what? I've seen a little bit of the players who are the top 3 picks. If you're saying to me, Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, or Paolo Banchero in Orlando, I'm kind of like, just give us all the star power we can get, as many swings as the bat as possible now, because it's got to come off, and we aren't making the play-in. We've endured it. We've gone through 60 games. We might as well go through another 22 and just look at next season.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am now. I've got to be honest. I'm far from a fan of tanking. I don't like the idea of teams going out and being rewarded for deliberately losing. But I just think now, like you've just said, we've endured these losses. It's for the franchise benefit. So be it. Whatever happens between now and the end of the season. I'm hoping that there's more L's than W's. And I can't believe I've actually said that. That's not me at all. Conall, you've just made an interesting point about J.I., saying that you're not sure whether we'll see him again. So The question I was going to ask people is, do we see Markelle? Do we see J.I.? So what makes you say that you're not sure whether we'll see him with the Magic here?
Well, just going off Terence Ross's Twitch stream the other day when he was playing 2K, and he said I've written it down somewhere, about Markelle, how he looks ready. He looks like he could come back soon. That's from Orlando Magic Daily. And also, people were tweeting at Michael Carter-Williams saying, Weltman's not got you locked in his basement anymore. Like, you can come out, you can tell us all the secrets. And he said, Markelle looks ready. He looks like he could be back soon. But Jonathan Isaac seems to never get mentioned. We don't see any content of him, really. Like, when Markelle started to get back into practice, we've seen a lot more videos of him than we have done of J.I. Mm-hmm. And he is becoming a little bit forgotten, I feel like, amongst our fans. And I know it's not just me who thinks this, but before he was injured, he was our best player. He was a genuine contender for Defensive Player of the Year. He looked fantastic, but it seems like, and I don't want to turn this into a completely different conversation, but his interests are elsewhere with, kind of his vaccination status. He released a book. He's been doing news interviews. There's a lot of that going on in his life, but there's not a lot of basketball. And it does make me question if and when we'll see him again, because in terms of Jonathan Isaac related basketball news, there's less than there is Jonathan Isaac related doing an interview with whichever station or promoting his book or doing something like that. But Markelle, I definitely think we'll see back, because, we've got 2 players there saying he looks ready. We've seen so much content, and he has to come back at some point. There's no way that he's just going to do shoot-arounds for the rest of his career. He's going to play basketball again. Yeah. And I genuinely do believe now that it'll be sooner rather than later.
That's interesting, mate. Gary, J.I., is there a benefit to holding him out?
I think there's
that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I think there's benefits, but I think it's going to get to a point where it's frustrating the fan base as well. I think the danger with the GI situation, and Conall's covered all of the key points I would have in there, is he's a power forward. And if we end up with a power forward in the draft, if the top 3 pick, GI is possibly going to be the guy where it's hold on, we've got Banchero here, we've got him for 4 years, or we've got Jabari Smith, or we've got Chet Holmgren, who is a very long shot blocking, defensive-minded 4 or 5. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, GI, I've said it before on the pod, GI could be the odd man out. And the longer he goes without playing, and looking at how this season looks like it's going to turn out, I wouldn't be surprised, and I would hate to see it in a way, because I think for a long time I thought GI was going to be the Matrix for us. I thought at worst he would be a Sean Marion for Orlando, as an absolute worst. But I'm looking at it now and thinking, would he be a trade chip? Would he be someone we'd use to try and, we're starting to see the disgruntled players talk starting to fire up again for the summer. Well, if you look at teams who can make package deals for disgruntled players, we've got the assets to do that. And would Jonathan Isaac be at the front of any package that we put together?
That's an interesting thought. I'm wondering if there's nothing being said, because they're doing more work in the background around. He's been prone over his career to lower leg injuries, hasn't he? And I'm wondering if they've been doing work to just strengthen everything to avoid future problems. Hence why we haven't seen him involved in, like you said, Conall, in the shoot-arounds, the videos coming out of rehabilitations. I'm wondering if they've been doing more of that side of thing. Mikey, any thoughts?
I don't know at this point.
It's just throwing something different in there. Is that a possibility? Perhaps.
I don't think we're going to see him in the last 22 games at this point.
No, I don't.
I really don't see it. I would love to see him come back next year, and I do. There is part of me that still feels like next season is going to be similar to this year, but we're going to be more all in on everybody's healthy now. You're going to get your chance to win your spot. And next season's going to be the chance for players to rise above somebody else to say, right, we're going to build around you in the future. And Gary said it really well. There's no point repeating it, but it is beginning to feel like he's the odd man out. I don't really know that you guys have already covered it. I kind of agree, but I don't see J.I. coming back this season.
So let's flip it then to just... this would be the ideal question for your aunt, but he's obviously not with us. So, Mikey, let's flip it to you. What impact can Markelle have, and how quickly?
Oh, he can certainly have an impact with his ability to run the offense and get up and down the floor. He's got that ability to see the floor in ways that I don't think we've seen a lot of players have in recent years. And obviously he's got a lot of question marks still to answer, but I think he could still be a big part. Again, they're all question marks at this point, aren't they? Because we don't know what they're going to look like coming back, and it's great hearing players and players, people like MCW come out and say, "Oh, he's looking great." Yeah, I mean, he said that about 3 months ago, earlier in the season, when we thought that they'd be ready at the beginning of the season, and here we are at the end of February, still talking about them potentially coming back. But look, we want to see them on the floor. I'm kind of leaning towards the same thing with Markelle. I'm not sure we're going to see him for the rest of the season either at this point. Okay. Watching Jamal Mosley, there was a little clip the Magic put out earlier with him being interviewed about, or sorry, it might have been Kobe Price from the Sentinel, and Jamal Mosley was answering questions about Markelle and how close he is ready to come back, and he's like, well, it's all depending on how he reacts to conditioning and going through practices. It's like, come on, man, this is the end of February. Like, he should already be at that stage. Like, we remember John Hammond coming out at the beginning of the season before it even tipped off, and he was like, "There's a really good chance Markelle's ready back for the start of the season." Just things like that just make you think. I don't think they want him to play, quite honestly. I think they want to hold him out ready to have a full preseason, a full off season. They're getting their rehab ready now. They're getting back into practicing and being in around the team. Then you got a full off season where they can work on those areas that they need to improve, and then we can hit the ground running in pre-season in October. That's where I'm starting to think that they're probably looking at. I just think, what are they going to gain playing in 22 games other than getting their legs under them? Which, if they're going through practice, then it's going to do a similar sort of job at the moment.
Yeah, that's interesting, mate. I like that thought. So we are back at it. We have Magic Basketball. We are recording this on Thursday, the 24th of February, isn't it? I had to think what day it was then. And we record again on March the 3rd, I think we've decided. So we play 3 times between now and then. We have tomorrow night, Friday, home against Houston Rockets. We have Sunday, home to Indiana. And then we play on Wednesday, I think it is, against Indiana again. I'm really looking forward to seeing some Magic Basketball back. It's felt like forever, this All-Star. But I've got to mention, before we do, last week's predictions on All-Star. Get in. Who actually won for a change? What did
the week it didn't count, Paul.
It did, because I've added it to it.
All right, okay.
I did say, didn't I? I'd get this one right, as it's not going to count.
So he's making it count.
Mike, you got one. You got one, didn't you? You went for dunk contest with Obi and got that correct. Gary, with an I, not a Y. He went for Team LeBron. I went for Team LeBron and Steph Curry for the MVP. And as just mentioned, Mr. G there with a big fat 0. Got absolutely nothing right. Well done, G. That's normally my role. So let's talk about this week's games. Houston, they've acquired Bruno Fernando and Dennis Schroeder since we last played them. 15th in the West, so it's a basement of the East and West. They have a 15-43 record, and they've lost their last 7 games straight. We have lost 2. Sorry, we've only won 2 out of the last 11 meetings with Houston as well, just as a little bit of a snippet there. Indiana, we've met them once this season. I think we won 119, 118, just the beginning of February. They had won 6 over us straight before that. We know that they've made some nice deals in the trade deadline. We've got Halliburton, Heald and Rubio coming. Move 1 or 2 along. But their record is 20-40. So it's interesting to see what we can do. So G's gone 2-1. I'll tell you that. He's gone that we beat Houston and we split with Indiana. So, Gary, let's go to you first. What's your thoughts on the week, mate?
You know what? Just be totally different. I'm going to just say 3-0.
Good, man. I like it. I think we'll beat Houston,
just because I think right now we're a better team than Houston.
Yep.
I don't know. I think with Indiana, they've shipped out Sabonis. I do like Halliburton. I don't think that deal was completely as lopsided as some of the NBA media had. You know, like Sabonis is 2-time All-Star, a good player. I think there's going to be chemistry that has to be pulled into play there. Will we split it? I think so. But to be different to G, I'm just going to say 3-0.
Conall, what's your thoughts, man?
I want us to go 2-1, so I'll have a Rockets win and winning the game against the Pacers that G didn't say. So if he said win the first one, I'll have win the second one and vice versa, just so I'm not being the same. But I'm in agreement. I think we're a better team than the Rockets right now. I think we should be beating them. If we're trying our best to play basketball, which I hope we still are with 22 games to go, don't know if it'll be the same for Houston. So I think it's a game that we should be winning. And Indiana, like you say, they've got an interesting team now. They've managed to keep hold of Miles Turner as well.
Yeah.
I do like Halliburton. There was a time when, Lakers fans were talking about Buddy Hield, the classic THT plus a first-round pick package that will get you any player in basketball. One of those options was Buddy Hield once upon a time. So I like the team at the moment. They are sneakily only 13th seed in the East, I believe. So it shows that, we've beaten teams a lot better than that this season, and I think we can beat them. But they are kind of new, like the core of their team is definitely new, the players that they'd be expecting to step up. So I feel like they'll probably want to be gelling together, trying to make an impact. They'll be excited to play together. So I'll give them one game, but I think we'll win the other one.
Okay. Mikey, where are you going?
I'm going different. I'm going 1 and 2. I'm going 1 and 2. Okay. There's part of me, I think we can win all 3 games, but look, we got a tank. Sorry, we have to. So this is what I want to happen, but I don't want to happen. But yeah, I think we're going to go 1 and 2. I think we are going to lose against the Rockets. We've already lost them once this season. It's just a coin flip, and I think we're going to split the series with Indiana. You guys have already broke down the games, so you've done a good job of that. So yeah, I'll just stick with 1 and 2.
So to be different, I'm left with 0 and 3, which I don't actually think is going to happen. And I refuse to be predicting that we lose all 3 games on home court again. I'm going with Gary.
Good lad.
3-0. I'm going for 3-0. On the basis of if Markelle does come back, he gives us that boost on the court. I don't know. I'm just going 3-0 because it's different to you and G. Mikey, that's the reason I'm doing it. So there we go. But I think we're in for 3 good games this week. I think there'll be interesting games and exciting games. I think it could be good games. So, fancy a quick bit of trivia?
Why not?
Oh, yes.
Can we throw in there what will THT in the first round pick land the Lakers? I'm going to say Zion Williamson.
Right.
That's my trivia done, sorry.
Wait, it should be a fairly quick one. As I'm sure we all remember, after All-Star season 2018-19, that was when the team put on the accelerator, got those wins that saw us finally reach the playoffs again after the fairly long absence. At All-Star, we were 27 and 32. Closed the regular season, we moved to 42 and 40. So the question is, can you name that squad that we had from after All-Star through to us bowing out against Toronto? So it's the season 2018-19, but it's 2019 period. There were 18 players in total. So shout away, do it how you want. I'm happy. Go for it.
Start with DJ.
DJ, yeah.
Markelle.
Yeah.
Markelle was there, yeah.
Isaiah Briscoe.
Good man, yeah. Who was that?
I said Evan.
Yep.
Ken Birch.
Correct.
Iwundu.
Yes.
J.I.,
yeah.
Vooch.
Missing one regular starter so far. Yeah, we said Vooch. Yeah. Missing one starter. AG, yeah.
Terrence Ross,
the 6th man, yeah.
Bamba.
Yeah.
Bamba was part of the squad. Interestingly, he didn't dress. Sorry, he dressed once, but never played in that period.
Markelle.
Markelle's already been mentioned, but yes, he was.
Oh, sorry. MCW.
Yeah.
Correct.
How many have we got left?
You are missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Amir Johnson.
Emil Jefferson, yeah.
Jefferson, sorry, yeah.
I'll give Nate. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Timothy Mozgov, was he on there?
Get in.
Oh, great shout. Great shout.
Mikey, earlier on, I said to you, G had messaged to say,
yeah,
can I go at the trivia? He got all the players, bar Timothy Mozgov. And would you believe he's still not got Markelle Fultz?
Oh, really?
And if he argues, I'll show the text because he's messaged.
Fair enough. So
So you are
Mozgov.
missing 3 others now.
And picture one as well.
Need his name, Gary, not a picture.
I don't know.
None of them were none of them were starters, and most of them rarely played. They were all gash minutes. Who did I really love?
Oh, Marvin. Not Marvin. Melvin.
Melvin Fraser Jr.
Oh,
You
yes.
may as well call him Marvin.
Yeah.
He said it wears.
He was like a point a minute man type, wasn't he, with his rep?
No, James Ennis wasn't on there, was he?
No, he wasn't
No,
on.
it was
No.
before.
You're looking for a point guard who was a 2-way player. Wall number 3.
Oh no, that was before, wasn't it? Jerry and Grant. No, it's not Jerry and Grant.
He's there. He's one. He's one of
Is
them.
he?
He's in
22,
there. Yeah, he's one who you've missed. See now, Dan. Unless I've missed you saying one of these. Unless I've missed you saying this power forward. But initials are TC, guys, for this point guard. For the 2-way point guard, wall number 3.
TC. Oh, Troy Copain.
That's him.
Mm.
And unless I missed you saying this one, power forward, wall number 2. Initials JM.
Oh, Jarrell. No, not Jarrell.
Jarrell
Martin.
Jarrell Martin.
Yeah.
There we go. Now,
I would have never remembered
we had
his
one
name.
more, we only had one other player that whole season that we used. Anybody remember him?
Yeah, Jonathan Simmons was we played.
Get in.
Yeah.
That's the ones. Nice one, lads. Nice one. Thought it'd be nice and quick, but paying a bit of homage to the team that put us a bit of a spurt on and got us back to the playoffs. So
The only good memories we've had for the last decade.
yeah, it's been a while. Hasn't it? That's why I thought it was nice, coming back in as we were starting after All-Star. Nice to just remember something that put a smile on her face and led to a good trip for certainly 3 for you, Mikey, and G and I. It was a brilliant time out there. So, guys, everybody, thanks for your company. It's been cracking. I've really enjoyed it. To everybody out there, thanks for listening and watching. Please subscribe to the podcast, hit the notification button so as you don't miss any future episodes. Make sure to visit the website, orlandomagicuk.com. For the latest news, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok and Twitter. All can be found under @OrlandoMagicUK. To make it easy, we'll add all the links in on the podcast description below. And so until next time, from Gary, Conall, Mikey, in Grant's absence, and myself, go Magic.